Let's go.
Hello.
Hi.
Awkward!
Okay, so welcome to the Knowing Us podcast, which is a space where we try to capture some good old authentic girl talk. Our podcast will be in two main parts. The first part being the unpack part, where we rant and have conversations about a particular topic that has sparked our interest. The second part will be the put away part, where we synthesize our main takeaways and learnings so that it's a bit more consumable for you, our fantastic viewer. So without further ado, here is the first installment of our Knowing Us podcast, the one about
Being overwhelmed. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, because both of
We
us.
should do a wave. Being overwhelmed.
Well, here we go. Hope you enjoy.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, so the first thing I note was our triggers for being overwhelmed. So
Yeah.
what does that look like for you?
What did you mean by a trigger? Is it like a trigger that you realize, oh, I'm overwhelmed? Or a trigger that's like, ah, crap, I'm overwhelmed? Like the actual emotion of being overwhelmed? I feel like it can be interpreted two ways.
Yeah, I mean, however way you want to interpret. I think being overwhelmed are emotions, so maybe it's the actual things that happen to you that you know we've tried to have noticed throughout this week.
Okay,
To
yeah.
sort of track it.
Yeah, I think I can kind of anticipate when I'm feeling overwhelmed. I think, like I said, if I have a back-to-back schedule, that's one of my things where I'm just like, oh my goodness, I'm about to be overwhelmed. Like I can
So
kind of
you're
feel it happening.
anticipating. Yeah.
Or if I'm like getting like less than 5 hours of sleep multiple days in a row, like that's when I know I'm.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it's kind of like burnout. Like I
Yeah.
can anticipate I'm going to get burnt out soon, and I need to like check myself before I wreck myself. You know what I mean?
That's a good one. Check
Yeah, like I feel like for me, getting overwhelmed, I've come to a point where I can anticipate being overwhelmed,
That's so
and so I'm
good.
like I can kind of prepare
You're, like,
myself.
self-aware.
Yeah,
That's great.
yeah. Oh well, you know, it took me ages to get there.
That's really good. Yeah, I don't think I'm not there all the time. Like sometimes it like just creeps up on me and then it comes out and you're like, how did I get here again? Woo!
Yeah.
Good job me. But
Yeah, I know the feeling. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I guess like one of my triggers is like my biggest trigger I think is when I see mess around me, like in my room.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Or
yeah.
just in general, like if I see clutter, because even though right now my room is really messy, really cluttered, but if I see it for me it's kind of like a signal, like, oh, I'm not giving myself time. Oh, was it? It's like a sign to me that, oh, I'm not giving myself time and I'm neglecting myself and neglecting like my self-care, because like for me cleaning is like self-care. And then that's kind of like, oh my goodness, I'm definitely overwhelmed because I have so much to do and I'm not giving myself time. I don't have enough time to look after myself right now. Yeah.
I think that's the thing as well, like speaking of that room thing, all through growing up, I always had a messy room. I was a messy room girl, and my parents would like say like, Aiesha, why is your room like this? But then I realized like it's a whole mindset of having like a clean room.
Yeah.
Because my room was actually a reflection of like my mind and all the things that were happening, because I just didn't have time because I was running from one thing to another.
Yeah.
But then when you realize like what you were saying, like self-care is reflected in what your space is. Yeah. So it's it's like a process of
it's like
that.
it's like a tangible sign or signal to yourself, like right now you're neglecting yourself.
Look what's around you, like this is what's actually happening inside and in your life. It's a really interesting interesting concept,
like a glimpse into your internal life kind of thing. That's
your
crazy.
environment. But it's true, like your environment does reflect what's going on for you. And I think that that's one of my triggers as well.
Really? Yeah. Okay, what are your triggers?
So for me, I think I interpreted it a little bit different, but like when I am overwhelmed, I start breaking things unintentionally.
Really?
It's so terrible. And then I start to
like what?
Oh, like I like the car stuff. Like I've accidentally parked the car like into the nose of the like the nose of the car into the garage like door.
Yeah.
Because I just drove it just like this inch more than, and I parked it there. So yeah.
Was that intentional?
Good job. No, of course not. Why would I do that? And then I feel really sad.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. Did I say intentional before?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I can't remember.
Anyway, yeah, I just break things.
Yeah.
Cause like I don't really, I'm not a screamer or a shouter, so it doesn't come out like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't come out with people.
Yeah.
It just comes out like, yeah, through like I just start to not be careful, and then things break around, like literally break around me, and that's when it's kind of like something is wrong. Something is wrong.
Yeah. And then the emotions.
Yeah, and then I'm like, oh, why am I here? What's happening? Yeah, but also, yeah, I think with me as well, I'm an after person, so like while I'm going through it, I can get it done. Like if I have a massive amount of assignments or whatever, I might have a little breakdown, but then I'll get myself over it.
Yeah.
But then it's afterwards. Afterwards, I'm just like a zombie.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, my emotions are all out of whack, and I feel really low. I hit a very, very big low
After everything.
Yeah. And I feel like paralyzed, like I can't do anything and I can't be productive, and I feel terrible actually. Like I feel really, really bad. It's been getting better as time has gone on, but I'm still like sort of, I've reframed it, which is good, but
how come like why do you feel terrible? Like I know for me, like after I get stuff done, I'm kind of like I am also not productive, but I kind of embrace it kind of thing. I'm like, oh, that's over. I could just
do whatever I want.
So like why for you it's like like what like how come it's a low point for you?
Like the way that I used to explain it was have you watched, probably haven't watched Avatar, but Zuko in Avatar, his sole purpose was to like chase the avatar and find the avatar. And that's like in firebending, that was like his passion and his strength like came from his desire and his drive to chase the avatar. But then like spoiler, he like makes friends with Aang, and then he becomes his teacher, and when he becomes his teacher, his firebending sucks and he can't firebend anymore, and he's like, what the heck is happening? This is my life. How am I supposed to teach him when I can't even firebend? But I think the reasoning like was because his drive isn't there anymore, and it just changed, so he can't like. And that's how I sort of rationalize myself. Like, I have so much drive to finish this thing, and then when I finish it, it's like life. I don't know. Like,
oh, that's really interesting. Yeah, because I feel like we're both the kind of people to kind of get not energy, but like we get kind of fulfillment from doing stuff.
Yeah, and we go over and we push to whatever it is that we really want to do.
Like
which
we
is
enjoy being busy.
Thing, right?
Yeah. Good and bad things, definitely. Yeah. How interesting. Oh yeah.
Yeah. But that's what I go through. Every time there's a big high, there's usually a big low. So but
so you're like this productive, and then
bam.
That's really interesting.
I just hit a wall.
I think for me, I'm like the opposite. I'm kind of like, you know me, I'm a very late person. I'm like here, like just here doing nothing, being complacent, and then knowing my deadline is like here, and then I'm just like, kind of like, I have like this massive breakdown. I'm at my lowest point, and then I'm just like,
and then you
crash. Then rise, get everything done, and then I come back down and just like, bleh. I don't know what happens to my life. Like it's weird. Like when I'm just not doing anything, it depends. I can be like, it excites me because it's like a new opportunity to find something else to focus on. So like instead of focusing on exams and exams, deadlines that I can't control, I focus on playing Minecraft for like 5 hours every day.
If that's what relaxes you, then
Sims, like playing The Sims 2 for like ages. Like I do that, and then like for like 3-4 days straight, and then I delete the game and I just never play it again. That's weird. Like
that's pretty cool though.
Yeah, or I don't know. It's just random things. Like I take it as an opportunity to do something that I want to do.
Yeah.
And then focus on that as well.
Yeah. And I think that's part of my frustration, because after I finish my exams, after I do things, I'm like, yes, finally I can do whatever I want. And then I just feel so low, and I have no, it's usually like I want to create. Like this week, I wanted to really like create stuff and do something creative every day, but it was just like creative block, everything, writer's block, everything. I couldn't do anything. And I was just sitting there like, why? I have time now. When I didn't have time, like I wrote so many like starts to songs, and then or like I'd write things and be like, oh, I don't have time for this right now, I'll just put it away while I'm so overwhelmed and while I'm so busy. And then as soon as I have time, it's just nothing, no inspiration, nothing's coming to me. Okay, I feel like we sort of just went into a little bit of a detour. Do you want to go into the next question?
What's the next question?
How much is too much?
Oofed. That's interesting.
That is.
How much is too much? I can't remember.
I have an interesting.
Do you want to go first, actually?
Okay, I'll go first. So I think like the thing is, right? Life. Through like my sessions. In therapy, like I've come to realize that life is going to be overwhelming all the time, and well, not all the time, but you're always going to hit those points, right? And then like you're always going to be over your head at some point. So it's not like being overwhelmed is something that you can prevent. Well, you can prevent it if you don't live or like you don't take those risks, but you know, it's always gonna come to that. So so it's just more about managing the overwhelm rather than prevention. I mean, but then as well, you don't want to be super stressed. So I guess it's a balancing.
It's interesting.
What was I gonna say? I forgot. You can keep going.
No, it's really interesting because I'm kind of in that phase right now. So basically, I was doing like 2 subjects before. It was like blockchain, a blockchain subject. Like this is literally like last week. We were talking about last week. But it was initially I did the subject because I was so interested in it. But then like as the week went on, like I just couldn't find the motivation and passion to study. And for me, like I love learning new things, and I love learning. But if it's not something that I'm interested in, and I don't need to do it, so it's an elective, and I can choose. I was like, oh, I don't want to do it, but it's already past the deadline to like switch. So I was like, you know what, whatever. I'm gonna drop it, and so I've delayed my degree again by like another term. So I feel like, so how much is too much? Because personally, I was like feeling really overwhelmed like last week, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna drop it, and then hopefully we'll see what happens. Like hopefully things will like click into place. And then like as I felt a lot of peace dropping the course. Because I was like I had a group, and then I was like, hey guys, I'm gonna drop the course, but I've already found someone else to replace me. Drop the course, drop the group. I mean, you know, left the group. And then
for like group assignments and things like that.
And then dropped the course officially, and then I was like, okay, freedom. Felt good. Like I felt like I could kind of, it's weird, I kind of went into a slump again. Like I did nothing. Like over a long weekend, I was legit just watching movies. Watched Cruella like 4 times. It was so good. Watched Cruella like 4 times. Watched Raya and the Last Dragon. Like just spent my time on Disney. Watched Loki.
It's so good. It's so good. Have you watched Captain the Winter Soldier and what's
Falcon?
It's so good.
I loved it. It was better than WandaVision in my opinion.
I did like it.
But I loved WandaVision too.
I didn't get the villain though. That was a bit strange.
The other witch.
No, what's it? Winter Soldier and thingy. I didn't really get her. Anyway.
I didn't understand it either. No, I kind of saw Captain America replacement as the villain for me. I didn't really.
Oh, he was so terrible. He did such a good job acting because you just hate him.
You hate him
freaking much.
Oh
like,
my gosh. Oh wait, no, sorry. You meant the little girl. I didn't get orange. Oh yeah, she pissed me off. I don't know why.
I didn't fully understand her motive, like how that was gonna help her. Anyway.
Whatever.
We're sidetracking.
But so basically, like, I kind of, and I devoted that time to kind of spending time with family, spending time with, people I love, and then I was like, at the end of it, I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed again, because I've procrastinated on so much, So yeah, I like what you said before is like, you can't prevent being overwhelmed. Like it's always gonna happen, no matter how much you take off or put on your plate. It's all about managing it. So that's really hitting with me right now.
I think that's really crazy. The idea of just making sure that everything you do is a valuable for your time. So like if you're gonna spend time with family, that's valuable as well. Like you don't want to just be that person that studies and doesn't have I mean if you want to get those grades, like that could be your lifestyle. But I mean as long as I think your time is being spent and it feels like you're in control of your time rather than there's nothing left and it's running around. But who knows how to get there.
I went to spiritual direction. I was talking to the priest and he was kind of saying like, I was talking to him about being overwhelmed and he was saying like, at its core, like life is very simple. We just tend to complicate it a lot. And our priorities should be family, work, family, studies, work, friends, and then after friends, like everything else. Because these are the things that will kind of like remain constant through our lives. Ish, you know, studies, work, whatever.
And I also think that for me anyway, like the way that I rationalized it was that every time you're being overwhelmed, for me it's like I'm learning something new. Like there's a new challenge that's coming my way and that's why I'm overwhelmed. I think there's a psych thing. I'm not sure if I'm explaining it correctly, but we'll try. So there's accommodation versus assimilation. So accommodation is like when there's a mental model that you can accommodate to a concept that you've already learned. So for example, like if you see a border collie and you know that a dog is a Labrador and you see a border collie and you're like, oh, I can equate that to being a dog. And then that's like dog concept. So you're accommodating for that new type of dog. I hope this is
like
right.
Schema, like you put it in the schema.
Yes, the schema. I hope I'm not confusing the two terms. But then there's assimilating. Maybe that's assimilating.
Okay,
actually. Assimilating.
You're putting it in.
Assimilating with that. But then accommodating is when it's totally new. Like you see a cat and you're like, ooh, that's not a dog. What do I do? And then your schemas are like making all these. You're making a new schema and it's like buzzing around in your brain and that's a new schema. And I think that's. Like you can equate that to experiences as well and emotions. So like when we go through something different, our brains and our like beings aren't computing like there's something that's not the same as before, and that's why we're going like, woo, what's going on? So it's a more of like a growing process rather than which is not a good and it's not inherently good or inherently bad. It's just. That's just how it is. Like and it's good, I think, better because you're learning something. And it's not as like when you frame it that way. I feel like it's not as scary because things. That's how we grow and that's how we learn. So, I get that. And like coming back to the question, like how much is too much? I feel like for me, if what you're currently doing, like from like this is how I think about it. If what I'm currently doing, if it's ruining like my enjoyment of life or like blinding me from the value of life and the value of what's important in life, there's something is too much. Like there's something is taking up my time and making me dislike my circumstances when I shouldn't. When I think how much is too much is like when you lose sight of perspective. That's when it's too much because then you're like, I've been there so many times where it's like I thought I loved everything that I do, but at this point I just can't handle it and I can't like keep up. It feels like it's up to here and I'm drowning, and then you're like, but I chose everything. That I chose to take this on, and then it's oh shoot, that's all my fault. Like nobody else put me in this position but me. And then negative self-talk. And it's kind of like really, really hard to kind of be like, no, I am I have limitations. Like I have limited energy, limited time, limited resources. I can't do everything. And having to kind of accept and be like, oh, okay, like you can't let something go. You can't. What's that quote? Like you can't do. You can do anything, but you can't do everything. I think that's something that we do not know how to do.
We need to learn.
That's like so hard for. Yeah. I guess it's a process of like self-care. I
Definitely,
think it comes down to that.
And self-awareness. Yeah.
What
were you saying?
I
What was that?
was gonna say something, but I forgot.
Oh, okay, sorry.
It's not. Oh yeah. So like around that, I was going through a lot as well, and my self-confidence and like my was very, very low because I told you like last week I just felt like I wasn't good at anything because I took on so much, and then I wasn't where I wanted to be with all of the things that I really wanted to do well in. And I was watching I want to read a lot more books, and what I do is like I watch videos of people in different fields and of their favorite books. So like I watch like a musician's top 5 favorite books and then like an athlete's top. Anyway, so I was watching this musician, and one of his favorite books is by Mikhail, whatever his name is, and it's like it's a book about flow. And that was what I've done previous work on that. And he read an excerpt in the book about the word amateur. And because he's a professional trumpeter, he's really, really good. But he was saying how, you know, when we work and when we strive for something, we always want to be like the best at it, right? And I think that's I think that's a good like aspiration, right? You want to be really good at what you set out to be. And lots of people, they don't like the term amateur because it's like you're not really good at it. You don't really you're not pushing for the potential, I guess. That's sort of where the word, like what people view as the word. But then he looked into the etymology, and the word amateur means it comes from like amour, so it's to love basically. So the word amateur means to love. And that's what an amateur is at something. Like if you're an amateur musician or an amateur athlete or whatever, or an amateur, you're not doing it for the money. You're not doing it because, you know, you're trying to be the best, like trying to win and trying to, you know, be at the top of the hill. You're just doing it because you love it. And I thought, wow, that's pretty interesting, and that's actually how I feel. I'm not the best at anything that I can do, but I do love it. Pushing aside the idea of whether I'm good or bad at something, or like, you know, pushing aside, you know, seeing myself through those lenses of I have to be this good, or I'm not good enough if I'm like this, just pushing aside that like whole continuum of judgment on myself and being like, you know what, that doesn't matter, like I love this, and that's why I'm doing it, and gaining like a sense of identity through that rather than going into all that like negative self-talk. I thought that was very really helpful for me.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I love that.
Yeah, and for me, like that being overwhelmed in terms of getting really insecure in that point, like navigating that and then learning that about myself, that was sort of the learning that I took from getting down to that low of being that overwhelmed.
It's really interesting.
But I feel like it's a different type of overwhelm. Because for me, I think my overwhelmed was more just dealing with what just happened to me, whereas what you are actually in the middle of the overwhelmedness.
And just trying to like manage it. That's true. I was listening to a podcast yesterday. And he was saying how like when it comes to like online learning, about thousands of people start a course, but there's only like a handful, like 100 or so that actually finish it. And like it's the whole thing about oh no, I'm mind blanking.
The whole thing about like keeping up with what you intend to do if you're trying to finish a course.
No, like the thing about like why it's different online learning and why it's different learning things in school is because in school we have deadlines that we can't control, and we have like things like walls that we're like pushed up against, and like that kind of like energizes us, or like pushes us to complete everything. Whereas with online learning, it's always like do at your own pace. And so what he said was basically like if the work that you're producing, like if you're not proud of it, then it's not worth doing, kind of thing. So it's really interesting.
It is crazy though, because usually it's like a kick up the butt when there's a deadline, because you actually are motivated to do it. But then when there's no deadline, it's like, oh, whatever. But then you're always complaining about the deadline. It's like you never really want to do anything.
Yeah, it's true. I feel like there's
Yeah.
like kind of two ways to approach a deadline. Like one, it's
Yeah.
kind of like showing you what you're capable of. Like if you are like work really hard, and then it kind of like surprises you what you can achieve within that deadline, and you're like, oh my goodness, I learned something.
Yeah.
Or there's another one where it's just like, ah, crap.
Yeah.
Chuck something together.
Fire.
I know
Yeah.
this isn't my best work. It's a deadline though.
Yeah.
Like here, submission,
whatever.
submit it. Yeah.
But
kinda-
ideally, like, you'd want to just work at your own pace, right? That's what
Yeah.
everyone's thinking, but does it really work? Like, not having deadlines?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of like, how do you get deadlines to inspire you and bring out the best out of you
rather than stressing you out and just, like, driving you up the wall. Or how do you just work not based on a deadline and still, like,
motivate?
be motivated? Like, do we need deadlines to be motivated?
Yeah.
Like, that's another thing.
Someone tell us the answer!
I think that's actually another thing that my auntie was talking about.
Yeah.
Like, the two sort of it's not the only spaces of living, but, like, we sort of broke it down in terms of, you know, there's the ambition, drive, aspiring, and being highly motivated. Like, for example, getting a degree or getting, you know, money and striving for that. And all of those sort of, that mode is very external and you can see results. And that's like affirming and comforting, right? When you see something, like, but then there's the other side is like the play and the, let me see.
So the first one was the mode, did you say?
So the first one is like when you're highly motivated for results, and you're striving for, let's have a look. Yeah, so striving, achieving, ambition mode. So when you're like really going for a goal and there's something that you want to attain, and then there's the other side of like enjoyment and satisfaction and contentment and fulfillment and meaning, which are very ambiguous, and it's very experiential, and it's internal, it's not external. You can't really measure those sort of things. And I think, those are the sort of things that are not, because you can't measure them, it's harder to sort of navigate, and I think. And because of what happened with my degree, that's a very striving, ambitious, like, thing to want a degree. So when that was put on hold, I felt like, whoa, like, what am I doing? What am I doing? There's nothing to, like, push and strive for. Like, I was working towards my degree for so long. Like, I didn't know what the heck I was doing. But then, that's the thing, like, make contentment and doing things out of play is where skill comes anyway. So living from that mode is a different way of living that I'm learning.
Interesting. So how do you kind of change what, like, ambition kind of thing, striving thing? What was that?
I don't really know.
Like, how do you kind of switch between the two?
Honestly, like, I don't really know. I'm still learning.
Okay,
But I think when there's, because in life, like, there's not really, you don't know what your end result is, right? Like, you don't really know when things are going to happen or what's going to happen. And the whole idea of, like, having enjoyment and fulfillment is just, I guess it's, like, comes down to being in the now. And being happy with where you're at. And finding the gold in what's going on right now and what you can learn right now, rather than thinking about what you will learn when you get that degree or when you're, like, upskilling yourself.
Interesting.
Because, like, I think I was watching this video. It's like a fight breakdown channel. But he was talking about how, like, lions and tigers and animals in the wild, he was basically saying how play is the best teacher of skill. So, like, when lions learned to hunt, they play with each other and they, like, you know, grapple each other and try to wrestle each other as play when they're growing up, and that's how they learn to be hunters in the wild. And that's the thing, like, I think those types of moments when you're just enjoying yourself and when you're just, you know, naturally passionate and engaging with something that you actually love, that's when your skill increases the most. And when you can actually go for that, do that for a long time and have that longevity and passion for something, rather than like forcing like what they do at school, like forcing you to learn something. Because learning will happen if learning and fun are very connected. And like I think learning, the whole idea of fun actually accelerates learning rather than you know when they say, oh, stop having fun, like stop. Like the whole idea, if you want to be good at something and you want to have it for a long time, I think fun is something that's important.
Oh, that's so interesting. I see that when, like, especially when I play basketball, because like obviously like amateur basketball to love. We love basketball. But like especially those games where I'm kind of in the mindset like, let's just have fun. Kind of like I don't know, like Michael Jordan, like let's dance. It's really like, I don't know, it excites me, and it motivates me to want to like work on my skills like outside of the court and on the court kind of thing, outside of games and in trainings and stuff like that. Like it's very, you're right, like it does kind of motivate you to want to get better.
I think
the fun.
Definitely. And but there is a balance, right? Of course, like you can't just be, I guess if the fun is the trying, then it's good. But if you're not, but then that's when, if you get tired and overwhelmed and overstressed, that's when it doesn't become fun and you start like, you know, slacking off and doing silly things like in training and whatever.
That's true. It's kind of like how much is too much? Like how can you determine whether it's because it's bringing you down and you don't find it fun anymore, but you still need to do it, versus like, is it ruining your enjoyment or value of life kind of thing? How do you kind of figure that out?
And also with everything, there's going to be a point at which like you're not going to be enjoying if it's a skill, and like there's going to be challenges. It's
going to get hard.
But that is a difficult thing to navigate, I guess.
And I feel like those are the points where you like learn most as well. Like when you keep pushing through it and kind of go through that. So it's a knowing of like when is pushing through it not effective and it's just like hitting walls, and but when is it like a sign of like, whoa, I need to stop and like perspective change. I was watching a video, like it's this like little boy and he's like trying to, have you seen this? He's trying to like punch through a wooden board. And then the teacher's like, and he starts crying. Why are you crying? And he's basically saying like,
I can't do it.
To like punch through it, you don't need physical strength. Like you need more mental strength. It's kind of like, how do you like flex your mental strength? You know, how do you work those weights?
I do. Well, I think life, just live it.
Play is the best teacher.
Okay, where are we? We took a big tangent. So the last point we had here was self-compassion when overwhelmed, like talking about that.
Self-compassion when overwhelmed. What do I do? Hold on, let me think.
You want to go through your list? Because this one loves lists.
I love lists.
Lists are her favorite.
But I took a more like Aiesha approach. I took like brainstorms this time. I know. Usually I just write dot points. Look at me.
I'm a brainstormer. I do like a good brainstorm.
Making self-compassion is... Oh, actually, I think I had this. Like, you know, the day we saw each other, like Wednesday or something. I kind of had like a breakdown.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's not because of you.
I know, but I'm sorry.
Don't blame yourself.
I'm just sorry that you went
My leg is dying.
Stretch.
It was kind of like, oh wait, no, I didn't. Wait, no, that was ages ago.
Anyway, it's alright.
I'm getting confused.
Sorry.
But basically, anyways, I realized I was kind of thinking, like, you know, when your cup is empty, like when you feel like you're giving too much and you're not living enough. I think I kind of realized like how come I'm expecting time, energy, and effort from other people when I'm not giving it to myself. And that was when I looked around my room and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not giving myself time to clean. I'm not giving myself time to rest. I'm not listening to myself. Like, I realized I was extremely thirsty and I needed to go to the toilet, but like because I was so busy and stuff,
Yeah.
like, I was like, no, I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
So I was just, oh my gosh, I need to, like, pause, listen to my body, listen to what I need right now, and give myself the time and energy to do that. Like, put that into myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, because who else is going to do that for me, like, except myself? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good observation there.
Yeah.
Like, I think that, that's something that, I definitely need to work on as well.
Yeah.
I think when I went through that low after I finished everything, I think that was my problem as well. Like, I had to change the way that I thought about that low and redefine it in a way of, it's okay, it's called rest, and you're allowed to do that. You don't have to go from one thing to another, like, straight. And that's why I was blaming myself, like, why can't I just get up and do more things after I've just done all of this? Like, listen to your body, like, your body and your mental capacity is literally telling you can't at the moment. At the moment, it doesn't mean you can't forever. It's just at this point, like, you just gotta take some time to do what you need to do for you. And after that, like, it was better. I was like, yay, the creative is coming back. It's not gone. Yeah. But yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned, like, not feeling deserving of rest, because I've definitely felt that a lot. Like the longest time.
That's probably,
Yeah, because it took me the longest time to kind of tell myself that I deserve rest. And now it's kind of what I look for now. I need rest.
That's good.
Like, that's why, like, being back-to-back, having a back-to-back schedule, like, drains me, because I know I need rest to function properly. And, like, knowing that I'm deserving of rest, and, like, people telling me, like, you deserve some rest. I used to always, like, my ears would close to that, and I'd be like, no, I don't deserve rest right now. I haven't been productive enough, or I haven't done enough yet.
Yeah, that's how I feel as well. Yeah.
But then kind of being like, no, you know what?
Yeah.
I am limited.
Yeah.
And I won't have enough energy or resources or time to do more if I don't stop and...
Like, I've read somewhere that the best indicator of well-being is relaxation.
Oh.
And it's just like, when have I actually been relaxed, like, not running away from stuff? Because I feel like there's this, like, culture of self-care where it's about, like, having a bath and eating chocolate and binge watching TV, and, like, that's all, it's all good and stuff, but whether that's running away from something that you don't want to deal with, or whether it's, like, actually helping you and your well-being is, like, a different sort of distinction. Because for me, I know when I am fully overwhelmed, that's when, like, I watch tons of YouTube. I start binge watching. It's when I'm there and I just don't want to deal with it. I just want to hide behind Netflix.
And you just consume, because you don't want to let your mind just sit and like look at what's happening. I feel like that.
So I feel like making that distinction and making the braver choice of being like, no, I'm not going to hide behind my YouTube and spend 2 more hours scrolling, and I'm actually going to go to sleep. But then there's that whole thing of, like, actually getting to sleep when it's that overwhelming. That's why I do it, because I can't fall asleep. But then, is that the best choice for me in that moment? Probably not. Probably not.
How interesting. Yeah, so, like, a question is, how do you enter a state of rest for you? Like, what?
Oh my gosh, that is the mystery question. That is life's mystery for me. Nah, I'm starting to get better at it, but I'm still not fully, I don't feel like I fully understand rest a lot. But I mean, prayer and meditation is always something that makes me feel better than worse. Like, I know for sure after I do that, like, I know I'll feel better. So I think there's another thing, like, when you don't know what to do what's good, is good for you. So, like, just going back to those, what you know is gonna be good, like, and then at the end of the day, like what you were saying before, like, it's always super simple. Like, exercise is good for you, eating healthy is good for you, sleep is good for you. All these, like, habits, like healthy habits, they're really good. But then, like, it's easy to do when it's not that hard, but when you're overwhelmed and when life is busy, I think it's when it's the hardest to actually implement. And that's when I don't.
Me too.
Like, sleep, who needs it? No, let's just keep going. No. that's a boundary.
Yeah.
It should be a boundary that's sacred. Like you need your sleep. Those are some things that yeah.
And it's kind of like when you think to yourself like how much is too much if you don't have enough time for that. What's good for you? So like rest.
Yeah.
Like sleep, rest.
Yeah.
Exercise, eating healthy. Like healthy social time with people that you love and uplift you. Yeah.
Yeah. Then that's when it's too much.
Yeah.
But then it's so funny because like those basics, covering those basics are sometimes you don't wake up and think about, okay, today I need to get some good sleep. Like you don't wake up with that like in your brain, right? Yeah. When really it feels like we need to do a bit of backtracking as to what is productive.
Yeah.
Like we're not thinking, it's just a weird thing to think like getting my self-care good
is productive.
Yeah. That's not how my brain ticks.
Yeah.
But
Interesting. I find that for me, like when it comes to when I know I'm entering a state of rest, I think because my life can be very fast paced. I'm always running from one place to another. Everything's back to back. And I think for me, like entering a state of rest is like slowing that down. So whether it's having a night in and just slowing down, spending time with people I love. Well, it might even be binge watching or like watching something that I enjoy.
Yeah.
Or like prayer meditation, just slowing down that fast pace.
Yeah. So things to make things slower.
Yeah. And I feel like there's a difference between like active rest and
passive rest?
I don't think passive is like active rest as in like doing something for yourself. So eating, exercising, sleeping. Like I feel like there's a difference between like that is you're doing something still, but then there's also another one of like
letting things just happen.
Yeah, kind of like prayer meditation. That's like it's something that you're doing, but it's like you're not. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, like it's not. There's no viable like results.
In
what you're doing. You just have to do it.
Yeah. No. Yeah, that's true. Like. Yeah. I feel like that's one of the most like. Prayer meditation is so important, but it's also one of those things where it's like you feel like you don't need it sometimes. Like you feel like it's...
And then those are the moments when you probably need it the most. Yeah.
Because you're just like, this won't get stuff done. This won't do anything,
productive.
blah, blah, blah. When it's actually the opposite.
Yeah.
Come on, Jamie. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy. And so so in terms of like not getting burnt out, what do you think is the best way to keep that? Yeah, I don't know.
This is a letter to myself right now. Let me figure this out. Keeping myself from burning out.
Yeah.
Keeping myself from burning out. I think one of the things, I don't think it should be the first thing.
And on that bombshell is where our camera cut out. So I think we'll leave that can of worms for now and move on to the next part of the podcast, which is the put away part, where we basically try to make sense of it all. Emphasis on the word try. So here we go.
I guess we wanted to explain this help.
Bye.
Okay. She doesn't want to be a...
No, she doesn't want to be a YouTube star. Okay, so we wanted to explain our learnings through this analogy of the pendulum.
Yes.
So basically what we're talking about is when the pendulum is going like this, it's symbolizing a natural balance of work and play. So when it's going here,
you are working, this going up here.
Yeah.
And this way, you are resting or playing.
And so basically what we want in our life is for our play to go into our work, propel us into work, and our work to propel us into play. And then for it to
balanced.
Ideally,
we want to be balanced.
Yeah. But if we overwork ourselves and go to up here, then
you crash into rest or play.
Yeah.
Crash.
And then you go, woo! And then you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, and that's the feeling of being overwhelmed.
Yeah, that's what this is equals overwhelmed. See?
But on the other hand, if you're going too much of play,
Yeah.
you know, things start to pile up.
Yeah.
And you keep on procrastinating, then you crash into
and
work.
then you're back into overwhelmed again. Yay. So yeah, it's about like wanting to get to like this
stage. And how do we do that? Self-awareness. So we thought by starting off with our triggers for realizing that we're becoming overwhelmed and that we might be heading into crashing.
Yeah.
Rest.
And so what does that look like? That looks like
not getting enough sleep.
Yeah.
What else? Not taking any breaks. If you're not getting enough sleep, not taking breaks. Not looking after yourself.
Binge watching.
Not
sleeping, eating well enough. And then that looks like bang.
Crash. You crash.
Yeah.
Also clutter as well.
Yeah.
That's another trigger.
Yeah.
If you're not looking after your space.
And that's when our internal world is represented in our external world. And yes, crashing.
And in our environment.
Crash, crash, bang, like this. And then
someone's gonna get hurt.
I like doing that.
And then we have the question of how do we realize how much is too much?
How do we realize that our life is like this?
Yeah. We've put too much on our plate, that we've said yes to too many things. We're not
grounded.
Yeah, not giving ourselves rest.
Yeah. So what we realize is when we lose sight of perspective and it's blinding us from the value of life, so you're not really enjoying everything that you're doing and it's just more of like a tired, long...
Yeah. You're just not enjoying the present moment. There's nothing for you in the present moment. All you can think about is this something that's going to happen in the future. Whether it's you graduate or you're looking forward to the weekend, then that might be too much.
Or if you're just waking up tired every day.
When you're blinded from the value of life.
And then we also want to talk about, or we had a stab at trying to figure out how to get in this balance instead of crashing.
Yeah.
And our solution to that was to regulate and what's the word?
What word are you
implement. Implement self-care.
Implement self-care routines.
And redefining self-care in terms of that it aids productivity
rather
than having it as like this afterthought.
Yeah, that it's helping you be more productive.
Yeah, and then we also talked about going back to the simple and having healthy be a habit instead of getting to that point. You know, it's more prevention rather than getting overwhelmed and then getting to that point.
Keeping that cycle.
Yeah, and
balance.
Then we also talked about how to properly rest and not feeling deserving of rest and how that also comes into that.
Yeah, so self-compassion for when you feel like you're either overworking or you're getting into that point to help regulate again and come back is, like we said, implement self-care routines, and this coming back down to the basics of knowing what's good for you, which is eating, sleeping, exercise, scheduling breaks, toilet breaks, bathroom breaks, looking after your hygiene, looking after your spaces, and also looking after your emotions. So when we lose sight of perspective, like the best thing that you can do as well is to just stop, even for like a little moment, and remind yourself like that you deserve to rest.
And that's, and again, it goes back to like it's super simple, super common sense, but oftentimes we always forget. Apart from our little pendulum analogy where we have a couple of takeaways.
My takeaways from the podcast session was the first one, I didn't know that being an amateur at something means to love. I didn't know that amateur means to love, and that when you're learning something, you are when you're learning something, it means you're doing it because you love it. And I realized that I don't have to be the best at everything. I just have to be consoled by the fact that I am enjoying myself, and that's why I'm just learning. I'm just an amateur. So
I'm sorry, like it's still good to strive for like being the best, but I think what was for me with that, it was just I was getting too overwhelmed by having that judgment on myself to be at a certain place, and that's why that was helpful.
Yeah.
But you're still really good at like stuff that you do. Like,
but I'm the same. Like sometimes I'm like very, I have to be the best at everything, and I can get really discouraged really easily when I'm like, I compare myself to other people, and I'm like, I will never be as good as them, so why do I have to try? But
I think
because I love it.
I think the message is just more like stop comparing, like stop with comparison and just do what you love. Like, that's the main thing that.
Embrace being an amateur at something.
I found like when you were talking about deadlines really interesting, and how, you know, whether we need deadlines to perform and we need that pressure to perform, or whether we can actually be motivated without deadlines. And I think it comes down to sort of framing those deadlines to better work for us, rather than having to work for the deadline. I think that was like a really interesting
thought.
Like
using deadlines.
Yeah, and whether we can be motivated, even with this, like hopefully we can just have our passion sort of fuel what we want to do, instead of cramming and crashing into that, oh my gosh, I have a deadline. Yes, that was really interesting.
That was interesting, and like just a follow up onto that, another thing that I feel like I'll take away is, even though no matter how much I love something, it'll always get challenging. Like it's going to be challenging at some point. And you're not always going to be enjoying it, right? When you're an amateur, you're learning. You're not going to always be enjoying it. To recognize that being overwhelmed is inevitable, and that the feeling of hardship and challenges is a sign of your growth and that you're learning. Yeah. And I always forget that.
There's no such thing as failure, there's only learning, like basically.
Yeah, it's so hard in the moment.
Yeah, it's okay. And that's when we actually learn the most usually, is when we fail and when we have to really reevaluate stuff. Yeah, it's just a learning curve. Yeah, taking things more as a learning curve than the end of the road sort of thing.
Yeah. And I think like the last thing that I took away from the video from the podcast was that we're limited by our self-care routines. Our limitations are how well we are looking after ourselves to continue working. So the more balanced we keep this, the longer we can endure
whatever
challenges
life is coming for us.
Yeah.
Anyway, hope you enjoyed as much as we did. But we also didn't enjoy because it was awkward. But hopefully there was some content that was actually helpful. And, we're just trying to share our learnings. We don't know much. We're just posting this in the hope that it will be helpful to
someone out there. We have conversations like these all the time where we're just going around in circles and trying to make sense of life. And hopefully by you joining in this video, watching, we can do that together and try to make sense of life together.
Also, like if you have any thoughts, well, I don't think anyone will be watching, but if you have any thoughts, like,
reach out.
Share, because we don't know. So if there's something that you know as well, we can like work together to know some more things.
Exactly. This is a community of people who don't know anything.
And we're trying to know.
But trying.
But, oh my gosh, our brand name is called Knowing Her. Anyway,
we're frauds.
Bye. Goodbye.
We have a pendulum for you. Do this. Oh, sorry. Oh, we have a guest speaker today. This is Katana. My best friend. Call her Cat, because she's a cat. I'm so good with names. Okay. I learned, and I hope you learned something. I learned vice versa. I don't think that's the right term. Anyway, sort of solution to that was to regulate and what's the word? Self-care. What's the word? Implement. Implement self-care. Oh gosh. I agree. Implement ways. Yeah. You wanna go first? No, you can go first because most of them are yours. Okay. But so what I was just saying is, I feel like I said everything. I don't know. I feel like I don't have anything to add to that. All right, cool.